All right, guys, we're live on the Independent Investor Channel Friday evening. I just want to take this moment and celebrate you guys. I'm going to take this moment. I came on a touch early, just a touch. We are going to celebrate you guys, man, for sure. I don't know how many other YouTubers are out there, but on the Independent Investor Channel, got a few strategic goals that we've been deploying for the last 3 or so years, and they're quite simple. They're quite simple. Use the power of social media to reach people, and I believe we're doing that. Second is to make sure that when the message is being received, that you're taking, deploying, and using that information. We call that in one word, empowerment, okay? And the celebration for the people who have made it to this community and are really leveraging the power of this community to put themselves on a path that's going to lead to somewhere that maybe it wouldn't have led to had they not had the opportunity to come in and engage with so many great minds, regular people, I might add, but deploying a lot of different strategies in the stock market. We're bringing people together. We're bringing people together over a common theme, that being your money, personal finance, budget. And most often the conversation is dominated by the stock market. It justifies that level of domination in the conversation. A lot of different styles that are represented here in the group. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the core group who have made their way into the channel creators that have made their way in. I'll call them out in just a few moments. But if it is your first time to the Independent Investor Channel live stream, congratulations. Okay, there will be around 1,000 to 2,000 people that'll catch this live stream. Goals of the channel are very, very simple, and I have enough success under my belt in investing, a lot of experience in the stock market. I have a fairly decent idea of what does work, what strategies to deploy in the market, but I can't do it myself. And I've found that evolving with specifically this group over the short term, I think over the last year, I think there's been some notable strides in the community as far as growing and just seeing success all over the place. And I think it's just fabulous. It can't happen soon enough. Okay. For those of you guys that know me, I'm a fairly impatient person. I don't typically like to wait around for things to happen for me. I'm kind of a go-getter. I don't typically like to wait for things to come to me. I typically am one of those folks that likes to make things happen. And by making things happen, I'm not immune to mistakes. I'm not. But through that aggressive fortitude and perseverance going forward, it's rendered a lot of success. And I think if that can bleed over for you guys, and you're consuming the message, maybe you haven't been with the channel for a while, give it a shot. You might find this is extremely motivating information, and it helps to provide some level of support framework for whatever level of capital you have to risk in the stock market. I think this conduit provides an awesome opportunity, and everybody gets something a little bit different from this group. I do contend, absolutely. But from an awareness perspective, I think there's a lot of different people providing a lot of different perspectives. I was on a live stream last night until midnight, Matt Money style. So shout out to Matt for sure, and thanks for hosting that. But Ethos Investing was part of it. I know Dave popped on after. Dave with Hidden Freedom Investing is in the group here. Jerry with GW Life as well. I always enjoy talking to Jerry, so shout out to Jerry and his channel, doing some great things. And every single one of these folks, when I name them out, I typically try not to miss anybody from week to week. I'm serious about getting off the launching pad and really taking this project to the next level. So as we start to accumulate thousands of subscribers, maybe tens of thousands of subscribers, and may I say perhaps the potential for hundreds of thousands of subscribers and beyond, I do contend that more than a few thousand people per week deserve to hear, at minimum, my message. Certainly, you're cordially invited to take part in the live stream. I provide an opportunity. You'll see that there are links that I drop in the thread of the conversation to your right. If you do want to leave a comment, please leave the comment in the section. I usually try to go through there, and if it's a good investing question, I'll typically try to highlight for the group so we can all understand a little bit about what's being asked and what my response is. I really try to keep this as engaging as I can. Project frequency on the Independent Investor channel has been burning at both ends, no doubt. The upload schedule to YouTube has been very frequent, which has taken away from some of my other social media platform opportunities. There's just me. So when I'm flowing heavy on YouTube opportunity, you'll see a digression in the podcast. However, it's a project that I'm just as motivated to do. And once we hit our groove with those, we'll continue to do that. The whole point of that is to make sure that you're pulsed into all the different communities that we roll out, the Facebook group, the podcast opportunity. There's been quite a lot of discussion on Twitter. It's really actually opened my eyes a little bit, and I'm really actually having a lot of fun watching JMac with JMac Investing and Matt Money. Also, with a bunch of others kicking over rocks over there on Twitter, trying to gin up a new group of individuals because they're out there. They know that they're out there, so they're trying to reach that audience and bring them into these products that we roll out through YouTube, and specifically these products. Now, what we end up doing in the community is I usually kick off at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Friday evening. We will roll sharply at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time into the Passive Income Educator live show, which starts at 10 o'clock as well. Cordially want to invite you guys to that opportunity if you fancy keeping the discussion going and trying to render the maximum benefits from this group. If it's your first time to this live stream and you're wondering about seeking out information, awareness to the stock market, sit back for a second, and I would just ask you to give it a shot. Okay, allow us to talk directly to you and let you know that the opportunities in the investing world may not be what you think them to be. Okay, it's an ever-changing, ever-dynamic opportunity, and the opportunities are endless. And this community does a great job of keeping feelers out there across the landscape and keeping those opportunities fresh, keeping those opportunities rolled out, keeping some of those historical investing principles fresh as well. Some specifically being the passive income strategy as well as the dividend growth strategy. Those are really two of the primary opportunities. There's been some uncovering of some very, very interesting opportunities. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to condense the message down by calling them spec plays anymore. I really don't. I've dabbled in all types of investing and I've done well, and I've also been skinned a few times. So my strategy in really trying to deploy my style as I evolve in my life and my investing specifically is in light of some of those things. And it's amazing how you typically don't remember a lot of your good investments. You will remember the very few very bad investments that you make. I find that incredibly ironic, and I could tell you specifically, almost down to the dollar amount, how much was lost on certain speculation plays that really I shouldn't have been making at the time. But quite frankly, up until a couple weeks ago, I didn't understand what a SPAC was. Okay, so kudos to JMac Investing for kind of rolling out that niche. And I talked about it a little bit on Matt's live stream. I think that's incredible to be
covering the landscape in such a manner that those opportunities are brought to the awareness piece. And I know Jason's pretty forward leaning with providing the community with some substantiation behind why he's looking at those names, not just company specific, but justifying taking a position as large or small as he deems necessary in that, but making sure that the community understands that it's relative to the total overall portfolio that he holds. Okay. And I think from an awareness perspective, I just sit back and I love sometimes being a leader. This is kind of what this is about on the Independent Investor channel. But I also enjoy sitting back and being a follower as well, and consuming content, and really being open to the number of opportunities that are out there. And they are infinite. The number of ways that you can make money in this gig are in fact infinite. So for you guys that are new investors, never been a better time to be an investor. The access to the stock market alone is enough to really sit up and take some notice, because this isn't an opportunity that I believe is justified in shelving until tomorrow. I think you need to operate with a little more sense of urgency and look at this as an opportunity. Now, in respect to the volatility that the stock market is going through right now, we just went through a stress test of our own, not to speak of the banks and the stress test from this week, which is pummeling the financials today. Obviously, that was a carryover from the stress test results from yesterday. I am fairly heavy in most of the major banks, minus Morgan Stanley, I'm fine to invest long term in those names. It's been a real underperformer for me historically, but if you're going to seek out some financials exposure in the portfolio, why not start with your bigger ones? I've got Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Travelers, and JP Morgan on my top 4 that'll be rolled out for investments to be looking at next month. What I find interesting is an inability to look at the stock market during times like these, during times of volatility, and look at those good quality names that are out there, and being more attractive to those names, or attracted to those names now at recessed prices. Okay. And I really think you do need to condition your lens to look at these as opportunities for the long term. I've always contended that the stock market needs to be approached from a perspective of winning in up or down markets. So I think, unfortunately, there's some conditioning that can take place for a lot of investors, where they look at the day-to-day activity and they'll base their investing decisions on those day-to-day activities. And I think that's really unfortunate. I think you really need to try to condition your perspective, and condition your perspective in such a manner that allows you to establish a passive aspect of your portfolio for the long term. And these spec plays, I guess, is what we're going to call them, for all intents and purposes. There's some conditioning and there's some wealth that's being built there to justify having that aspect kind of taken care of before you enter into some of those. For the new investors out there, I would highly encourage you guys, if you're interested in broadening your horizons with your application, get those passive opportunities in place first. I think there's some level of conditioning that needs to take place, some level of preparation, some level of discipline, and some level of defining your own tolerance to the market and strategy that works for you before you start to engage in any type of that activity. And that's fine. Make it a goal to start small. Make it a goal to make that first stock a reality for yourself. Some interesting names right here on recessed entry prices. I think AT&T really comes to mind for me. The only buy that I made today was 45 shares more of Pfizer, PFE ticker symbol. And that brings my total position up to, I believe, 160 shares. in Pfizer. So you guys that are looking to get that safety built into the portfolio, I'm a big fan right here of old tech. I don't think the tech rotation really started today, and I don't know if the Facebook thing is going to be the catalyst that puts the technology run on hold right here. I don't know. I look at technology in three different segments. You've got the FANG names minus Apple and Microsoft, but the higher beta, higher growth names like Netflix, Google, those types of names, Facebook. And then you've got the big tech with Apple and Microsoft, and then you've got old tech with IBM, names like Cisco and Intel, things like that. So, the question becomes when you're looking to seek some opportunity in any of these sectors, are you going to invest in technology and ignore some of these names, even though they have run up? So there's some relative scale that can be put to work in entering some of these names. So just keep that in mind. I saw a Gen X dividend investor as well always get a weekly shout out for the work that Gen X is putting through to the YouTube community. I mean, it just rich with value, no doubt about it. And I know he's got the potential to reach thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of investors with that material. And that those are the types of baseline discussions, quite frankly, that new investors need to be getting hooked on and understanding some of the basic fundamentals of investing and value investing specifically, looking at the fundamentals of a company. I don't think there's anybody better than Gen X dividend investors. So say what up to these guys for sure. I have strategically dropped some links in here. If anybody out there is interested in popping into the stream tonight with me, great. If not, I'll run it by myself in the Tron studio that I've built for you guys. So hopefully you enjoy that. It's kind of cool. But it's a statement here from Akash's World. I feel like in the UK, businesses are still going. So obviously a reemergence of the pandemic scare a little bit. And it's opened up the can of volatility a little bit. As a long-term investor, I kind of keep it simple. I really don't try to forecast the short-term moves in the stock market. Is it going to go down over the short term? Hell, I don't know. Probably. There was some pretty interesting discussion about it bleeding over into the real estate market last night, which I found extremely interesting. I was not playing ball in real estate. I wanted to 2 years ago, but I've been renting for 2 years. So I'm personally interested in the real estate, how this thing trickles into the real estate market. There's some grumblings about people having some real heartache right here, making mortgage and continuing to defer those payments as this thing lingers on. So, but the gist of this is that European markets may fare a little bit better than the U.S. markets as we creep back into some volatility here. So, but I appreciate your comment. Thank you. I just got a tip for $5. I really appreciate that. It helps support the channel and keep the lights on. And these small little improvements to the channel, they're made out of my pocket, and I do that for you guys. I really do. I want the product and the delivery to not get in the way of the intent of the message. So when I have new people come onto the channel to test it out, I want the purity of the message to come through, and I want them to really understand that perhaps the investing opportunity is a lot more obtainable than they perceive it to be. And I contend that it is. So welcome, everybody. Very, very cool. Got 100 in the group. We just broke 100. If you are in the group and you're over on YouTube and it's easy to hit the thumbs up button for me, please do so. Help us support the message. Drop your comments in the thread here. But I'm going to start getting into some of these guys. Obviously here. So Randy, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you coming on, and always great to see you from week to week. Very cool. He says it's a tough week to put shorts on Facebook. I agree. That was kind of a surprise to me. I think it'll be temporary. I really wouldn't worry about this being a deep risk to Facebook. I'm still bullish on the name. I still own a fairly small position at 10 shares of Facebook, and will continue to own those long. So I don't really care about headline news from day to day, even though I do acknowledge these are pretty major businesses pulling chocks right now. But again, I come back to the rationale from the other side of the coin. Are you going to really go forward as an investor and not have exposure to these companies in your portfolio? Some of you guys might be saying, yeah, I feel more comfortable doing that, and that's okay. That's the deliberation that I want you to go through. I don't want you to say, well, because Ryan owns the shares, it's okay to invest in the company. That's not it. It has to make sense for you. And, you've got 11 sectors of exposure to fill up in the portfolio. For you new investors that are looking to build that portfolio, start with an AT&T. That was my very first stock that I ever bought in my life. AT&T. I remember it to the day. And, it's ironic now we're sitting on about 125 share position in AT&T. A lot of that has been leveraged with some really nice house money for sure. It's been very, very good. So what's transpired over the last couple months, I've just took on head on, and there's going to be more volatility, not only now, but into the future. So that's just part of the gig. I think the more we talk about it and the more people understand what they are getting involved with when they put capital to risk in the stock market, I think the less surprised they will be when they see their money fluctuate. I think my portfolio is about a sea of red right now, which I'm totally fine with. My focus is on the share base that I've been able to increase exponentially over the last couple months. My portfolio was really, really set up for future growth. That's for sure. And I'm certainly not going to talk myself off of that baseline that I've built in that portfolio, just because we've got a few weeks of volatility. I think it is going to continue, and that's totally fine. Statistics are just not coming back. The consumer's not coming back very quick. The government pulling back on any inclination for further stimulus. The Fed balance sheet, companies, Nike coming out, they had a terrible number. I think the details there for online sales for Nike was interesting. So I'd be picking up Nike right here on a buy, but you guys know me, I'm fairly bullish on all the good names out there anyway. So if you're looking for some discretionary exposure, pick up some Nike right here. It's a Dow component. Pick it up. You'd be good to go long term. So very cool. Got all good in the group. Good evening to you. Very cool. It's great to see you. I've already mentioned Matt Money in the group. Awesome. The killer discussion last night. I'm feeling it right now. That's for sure. But I said, hey, I need to probably cash in. So I've got at least the energy to make it through this live stream tonight. So very cool. It's great to see you. I've got cream dividends in the group here. Facebook is no good, he says. I don't know about that. I think there's been some injects for Facebook that are obvious. I think when you start to chip away at the armor of Facebook, and it comes down to affecting, and they're an ad revenue business. I mean, I think 95% of their revenue comes from ad revenue. So, I mean, their business is built around that. So if companies like Coca-Cola and Verizon and Unilever are pulling chocks on Facebook, it's something that can get your attention. So, and it's got my attention for sure. And I'll monitor it going forward. Does that mean that I'm acting on the stock right here? No, it's not. Monitor it. You may be able to pick up shares in Facebook a little bit down the line, maybe under 200, maybe give you a little bit better entry point. But I would consider just monitoring the name at this point, and we'll live to fight another day for sure. Got Mr. Christopher Blaine in the group here. Good evening. Absolutely. Great to see you, my friend. It's awesome. You make the greatest honey ever. And I finished my salsa a long time ago, man. It's incredible. That was a treat. It was awesome. Thanks for you, man. I really appreciate that. Yep. So always keeping the message focused on the message here on the Independent Investor channel, man. Always focused on that new investor who could make their way into the live stream and get turned on to the prospects of investing in the stock market for themselves. Very, very cool. Got Dave with Hidden Freedom Investing who jumped on after me. I don't know if Matt went for the normal 5 hours last night, but they were still going strong when I cashed in at midnight. So I had to get up in 5 hours. So it was a fun discussion. A lot of great topics, sectors of interest. We got on the utilities, technology bandwagon, with some really cool discussion mixed in with some real estate, state of the market, etc. Those types of things. I had Stock Ninja on there as well, who I had the pleasure of meeting last night. So very cool. We got Rebecca with Quest of Fire. Very great. Awesome to see you, and thank you for looking out for me. I appreciate it. I do have enough energy, hopefully, to make it for 1 hour tonight. She's looking out for sure. That's great. And then Jerry in the group as well. Great to see you. Awesome. Really great to see all you guys. All right. And Dividend Driver James in the group as well. Fantastic. I'm scrolling through here to see if I can get to some. Here we go. I just subscribed. You guys can kick over. I gave Randy a shout out on his channel last week. He's very heavy into the options game. So very cool. I'll be rolling out my stocks to buy for July here shortly, just to give you guys a little bit of a teaser on that. I've got four lists of 44 stocks. I always force myself to choose the top 4 in any of the given sectors, and that's just how I generate the actual 11 that I roll out to you guys. So I've chronicled a few of them, and I've dropped them into the thread if you do pay attention. So if you guys are into a stock scavenger hunt, those are in the thread. I've offered a lot of those. Really, the idea is not to withhold information. It's to share openly in the successes of the community and make sure that we're living to fight another day, and that's what we're doing. So, made my run much easier listening to you guys. I did run today. It was like 100 degrees, so I still have the lingering effects in my head, but I feel good. I feel strong, and here to celebrate with you guys. So I guess the idea for new investors, they want to look at me and they want to say, well, should I buy this market now or should I just sell everything? I don't know. There's been a few YouTube videos, and usually when we have like 2 down days in a row, every YouTuber comes out and talks about the stock market crash of 2020. I've kind of shied away from a lot of that language. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters at all. I think it's worthless, to be honest with you. Invest or invest not? That is the question. Make a choice. If you want to change your life for tomorrow, maybe you might want to look at what you need to do today to make those changes happen. Perhaps maybe the younger investors now, I tell you what, I know a lot of them through this community, and they're savvy. They really are. A lot of them are looking at options as a potential wealth building vehicle. A lot of them get this value investing thing, and they understand the prospects of investing, and they're aggressive on their application, and they are deploying that and building wealth for themselves, and kudos. This is one of the very few channels that you'll come to, and the very first delivery from me is a celebration of you and your success. I can't tell you how fulfilling it is when I have new investors come on the channel and they talk about the encouragement and the support that they've received to put a few $100s away for their future. I just think the awareness piece is key. And for an investor like myself, who's fairly advanced at this craft, you know, I certainly became the student and learned myself up. I did a deep dive on, you know, JMac Investing has been doing an interesting job over the last about month or so covering these SPACs. And I looked at all 4 of the ones that he looked at, and to an extent of actually taking investments in 2 of them. The ticker symbols are OPES and SHLL. If you guys didn't notice, SHLL had a hell of a day today. It finished 45.56 up, so 45% up today. During the trading day, I actually was interested to watch it a little bit after hours. And the trading activity after hours was equally as encouraging, to be honest. My real takeaway was the self-study that I engaged in with the company. Made a little bit of a research project today, and I couldn't find anything disqualifying I didn't like. Ironically, I did look at Nikola Motors, and it was about everything I looked at I did not like. So interesting perspective. You guys, just for a couple minutes, will be interested to know that those were like night and day in my evaluation. And I know Jason had conducted an interview with the CEO of Nikola Motors. I think perhaps the impression I got was that he was a little bit over his skis a little bit. I think he's brilliant, certainly an innovator to get where he is. But the difference between the Helion company and their attempt to integrate that technology into the existing Freightliner fleet was much more attractive to me, and it's seemingly a lot more attractive to the industry, as they've got reservations for 1,000 orders. They've collaborated with some heavy hitters in the industry, so it's kind of a waiting game up until this point. I think the entry that I got at 16 and change is kind of irrelevant, to be honest with you. I heard Jason made a comment that he doesn't really care if the stock goes down $2. Based on my research, I would agree with that sentiment. I don't. I think they've got a triple banger on this stock. What I mean by that is they cover zero emission carbon footprint, which is an initiative of the industry, and then they've got cutting edge technology, that of which patents are covered, and third, they've got orders in line, ready to rock. So I was encouraged. I mean, if I had just ran across Jason in the supermarket and asked him for $1,500, I think he would have probably looked at me as if I was pretty strange. But I think to digress and talk about the awareness piece of this message, I may have never known about that. And it doesn't mean that you have to act on every opportunity that comes your way. I was encouraged by BurgerFi, and I was encouraged by the other four spec play in my portfolio. It doesn't mean that every investor out there has to go and just dive headfirst into these stocks on Monday. What it does mean is that this community through and through is pretty strong. And I'll be the first to congratulate the success on the channel, through the channel. And for new investors that are coming on, I can't think of a more cutting edge way to seek out free information about the stock market through this number of channel creators and content creators and live stream creators like Matt Money. You know, we all deliver the information with using a number of different conduits for the end listener. But man, this has got to be encouraging. Holy moly, guys, got to be encouraging. And we'll continue to push the envelope. I know the creator community is very solid, very motivated to do just that. And hopefully I'm doing my part in helping and facilitating this conversation for 60 minutes every Friday on the live stream. So very, very cool. I've got Adrian in the group here. It's great to see you, man. That's a hell of a motorcycle. Jesus, man. Very, very cool. Very cool. Maybe a couple more investments like today, and maybe I'll get one. I don't know. No, I won't. I'm just kidding. I'm a pretty simple fella. I'm happy with my Tacoma, so we'll continue to roll that deep, whatever that means. I have no idea. But no, it's great to see you, man. Very cool. Scrolling through the comments here, guys. Just trying to see what's up with the group. Trying to see what's up. Very cool. Awesome, man. Yeah, so I'm interested to know the thoughts of the group. I certainly don't want to misconstrue that that information, but I did take that position a couple days ago, and it's luck, to be honest with you. It was a sound decision, and I was talking last night with Matt about investing can be very humbling when you make those decisions based on sound research. And you feel really good about a company, and you're excited about the company, as you should be, right? The prospects are very promising, only to enter the stock and see it go down quickly, going down for seemingly no reason. It does happen. So there is risk involved with these names, but I tell you, this was one that maybe we just got lucky on, and it does happen. Is it luck? Or is it a perfect storm of initiative, funding, experience, awareness? Is it a nice brew of that type of information that brings a good trade like that together, or an investment? I'm actually looking to hold this company long, which is something that I don't typically do with these more volatile spots. There's really no metrics that we can look at as far as financials. There's a little bit of cash flow on the side of Helion, so that's what I liked. That was really interesting. Whereas Nicola was a little more dreamy with putting their infrastructure in place, not only their trucks but the fueling stations that they're looking at. Whereas this other company, they already have all that stuff in line, and like I said, 1,000 orders is nothing to scoff at as we start to integrate this technology for the fleet. So interesting enough, worth the discussion on a Friday for sure. It's a lot of fun. Very cool. All right. There's the question I asked the group. I'm just curious. Very cool. I got passive income investor in the group as well. So great to see you, Kyle, doing some great things as well. Putting up with this volatility is going to be a challenge. Stay focused. I did put in the comment section that, we just went through this 2 months ago, and there were 2 solutions to making it through that volatility. Number 1, hold. Do nothing. Do nothing. If you have any question or any angst about the potential for the stock market to go down, just put all that stuff aside and just hold true to your program. In retrospect, that would have been the very thing to do. And I've been given no indication to see that some of the investors that I respect the most in this community did just that. They held true all the way through with their passive aspect. Investors like Matt and Gen X and Jason and myself as well. The other solution would have been and a little more aggressive and a little bit harder to do, is to buy the volatility, buy the dips, keep an eye on those good quality names, some of which I've dropped in the thread for you guys tonight. Keeping an eye on those and making sure that you're always staying aware. That doesn't mean that you have to always act upon that information. It just means that you're paying attention. And I find it interesting in the investing world how most people, with regard to this topic, don't pay enough attention. And I think that if there's a takeaway and there's new investors that are making their way to this community for the first time, I don't mean to scare you. I don't. But maybe it's time to look in the mirror a little bit and ask yourself if you're putting the correct amount of pressure on this topic and if you're paying enough attention. And if the answer is no, that's all right. It's all right. I think each and every one of us can probably look to improve, but there's a lot of folks in this community that I tip my hat to, putting out late night live streams, doing it for the community, really would take anybody under their wing if they asked for help. And I think it's an incredible opportunity, that of which you would have never got historically when looking to invest. But I'm going to bring another channel creator on. You guys may know who it is. I don't know, but I'm going to bring Jason on for a nice Friday discussion, man. We'll bring him on without further ado. Jason, you got me okay, man? You can test the sound.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
I got you loud and clear, man. How are you? How's the family?
Everybody's good. I appreciate you asking. How about you and yours?
Yeah, they're good, man. Things are kind of, with work, it's getting back to normal, which is kind of weird because now it seems like we're kind of opening up this envelope again, which is really unfortunate. I'm a lot more hopeful, I think, than a lot of people, and I was hoping that this thing would kind of die down a little bit, but it doesn't seem like we're going to be so lucky. But we're just going to have to continue to persevere,
Yeah, for sure. I think they're gonna have a tough time locking it back down, though, if that's something they're trying to do. But yeah, it's there's definitely some spikes, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's going to permeate through the market. I actually kind of thought that was going to happen during the first major downturn. I thought we did run up, and that's typically what the market will do. It'll surprise everybody. Everybody and their mother had some, forecast of where they thought the market was going to go, and I think it proved just about everybody wrong. And here we are. Here, everybody's calling for it to really go down hard. That could happen. It could be that it doesn't happen. So I think the lesson is to make sure that you're using some scale right here. I don't think I'd be super aggressive on starting big blocks of capital right here. That's just my perspective on the pulse of the market. Maybe over the next, I think maybe a month, Jason. That's it. Because rolling into the end of this year and into 2020, I think 2020 is going to be on fire.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we'll probably close out pretty strong. And and everyone, before this whole thing, it was all about, it's a potential election year. So let's see how that goes. Well, all that's out the window. It's there's a whole lot of other things that have overtaken the importance of that right now.
Investing, man, you got to accept the whole kit and caboodle, man. It is what it is. It's not what you perceive it to be, all roses all the time. It is what it is, and nothing you can do. If you want to participate, it can be very rewarding. If you don't want to participate, then that's your personal choice as well.
Yeah. And this one's so unique that it brought out people like Dave Portnoy, the day trader, and he's calling everybody because, no one's ever been through something like this. So like all the pundits and everyone who had their how they approached, other crashes, none of that applies to this one because this is all new. We've never closed an economy down. We've never, no one's ever the whole earth essentially shut down for a little while, right?
Yeah,
no one's ever been through that.
Yeah.
What do you do? What's your reference point on this one? No one has any. So that's why these rookie traders can just come in and kill it because there's no real bearings on some of this. But man, congratulations on getting into Hyliion.
Well, I was encouraged by the research that I did, and there's certain spec plays in other industries that I can't invest in. I'm prohibited from doing so.
Gotcha.
So I was a little light on that aspect, and I typically don't. You seemingly have kind of a nerve of research that you're doing, and I think you just uncovered that actually on one of your recent posts on one of your social media platforms. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't even know what they were when you had mentioned them, but from an awareness perspective, I think just the little light switch when you turn on and have somebody like myself do some diligence on it, at least I can shed some light from my perspective on what I saw. And what I saw with Hyliion was pretty encouraging, man. I thought that interview you did with that gentleman from the trucking industry, that was incredible. And I've got some friends in the industry as well. And I think the ability to use, a little bit of the status quo and then a little bit of integration with the new technology and the smart technology, because they're using AI in this as well, right? This software actually kind of computes data and it can provide that data and analytics back to make these trucks more efficient in their consumption. I think I read something as well that for one truck that's bought, the energy savings can actually eliminate what would be spent over the lifetime of a truck for 4 trucks.
They can pay back the cost of installing this equipment within a couple years, and then it's all savings at beyond that point. And so I can disclose it now because it's over and done with now. So I interviewed the CEO today of Hyliion.
I heard you had said that, and congratulations, man. That's fantastic. Those interviews are incredible to hear it from the top dog in the company.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm talking about it is because so this guy's brilliant and humble. He's just like it's just like talking to you. He's and you'll see it. You're gonna see in the interview it's just like with the Trevor Milton one. I had to submit it to them, and their lawyer. Yeah. The attorneys have to approve it, and people ask why, because this is a company that's going public, so I can't just willy-nilly do this. There's so it's I sent it off, and so, but This guy, he's a Forbes 30 for 30, the CEO of this company. And look, and here's another thing that a lot of people may or may not know. They don't have any debt. So
No.
Guess what? They didn't need this capital, but they needed the capital to commercialize the company, to go big.
This capital will flow right to the balance sheet.
Exactly. And to ramp up, just to get to production scale. And but literally this was not necessarily needed. It was this is a debt-free company.
No. And not only that, but I mean, their access to credit's going to open up. That's going to be incredible. The level of scale, forecasting out to 2024 was scary. And I'm not going to disclose that over my live stream, man, because I want people to go and just look at it and use it as an education piece. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to go jump in and put real dollars to work in this company, but you know, I just think, Jason, I was thinking today, is the investing landscape changing? Is it going to work? Is it going to work over the next 20, 30, 40 years to invest like Warren Buffett's invested over the last 50? I don't know. It's a rhetorical question that's worth thinking about. The landscape has changed so much with access, and the ability to hold a stock for 3.5 days and then just offload it. I do think that buy and hold investing is it's got its place, and I've already justified that mathematically. But are these emerging technologies, are they given their fair shot? And I think that's kind of what I gleaned from reviewing the information for these two. BurgerFi is good because I just like the restaurant. I just think it's an awesome restaurant. But
it's a brand, yeah.
It's a brand, and I thought, there's a piece to it, Jason, too, with a lot of people who are a lot more conscious with what they're consuming. So where McDonald's has a wide moat, and there's going to be continued consumption of that product, which Jason, I don't eat it because I own the stock in McDonald's, but I don't eat the food because it's not good for you. Okay.
Right.
So I just don't. It's I've got to run 50 miles to get rid of a Big Mac, So, but I like what I saw. I took a smaller position in BurgerFi. Took a significantly larger position in SHLL. But I was happy with what I see. But congratulations on that interview, man. I'll be super stoked to check that out. And for the 150 people who are currently in this live stream who just heard what Jason said, I don't know what to say. We do a pretty good job of really trying to push the envelope and provide opportunity. And I say it all the time, man, for people who make their way into this community, congrats. Because if you're paying just a little bit of attention, you're going to start to come into some financial success. And I'm not going to say that it's not going to require some effort on your end, because it is. And if you don't want this for yourself, I'll be the first to say it's not going to happen for you. But for people like me who could have had the opportunity to sit across from a message like this and be provided rapid fire the amount of value, where else can you find that? And for the most part, if not all of it, is free. It's free of charge, Jason.
Well, and to follow up on what you're saying there, so because you did your due diligence and research, and you now you have a conviction, even though it's a lesser known company. So I'll say that my channel has a lot of new subscribers because of these SPACs, but I'm getting a lot of comments from people that are like they're asking me, because they're not doing their own research, a lot of entry and exit positions, and I just ignore. If you ask me when you should enter, or any content curator, when you should enter or exit a position, you shouldn't have entered into a position. So, just like what you're saying, we're providing
awareness.
Our experience, we're exposing our portfolios, we're exposing the things that we of ourselves have invested and researched into. That don't mean you don't have to, as an investor yourself, you still have to come to the conclusion that you have conviction behind it, or you're going to be questioned, just like these people that comment and ask so many different questions that you could with a few clicks and a few keyboard types, you could get to some of these answers yourself. So, so don't take hot stock tips as entry and exit. And you can see, so there's this, and what I've learned is the SPAC universe is really large, but as you can see, I've only invested in 4 of them, and so there's a lot more, and there's more coming on. And now I got people left and right hitting me up, telling me about them, and I'm just real selective because I'm like you. When you saw this one, you knew it, and it's one of those things. You gotta figure it out for yourself.
Well, and when I was looking over the name, I was actually looking over it with the perspective of trying to find something wrong.
Yeah,
I'm pretty scrutinizing. So,
right.
And for the viewers out there that just kind of heard what Jason said, I want to foot stomp. We're just regular, hardworking fellas. Okay, there's some folks here in the communities, guys and gals, that are just regular people working, doing all kinds of different professions. So don't think for a second that there's some sort of magic sauce in this. All right. Jason's telling you exactly what you've got to do. And by being put on the awareness piece, that's not the time to get lazy. Okay. If you want to do that, you're gonna set yourself up for some real disappointment. You really are, and that's not a long-standing program either. You really need to get into some discipline, and that's, I had the stock 3 days before I entered into the position, but I needed that 3 days of scrutiny. That's what I needed, and I took it. I was willing to take it. I took it right up to the nitty-gritty. Invested in it yesterday, and today it was. The price action today was incredible. It never stopped going down.
Well, today Barron's dropped an article on.
I read the Barron's article was fabulous. I should share that in the Facebook group, honestly. And what Jason's talking about, guys, if you just Google it, I actually got to the Barron's article through Merrill, my broker. And for any of you guys, I think we're doing a pretty good job of at least doing some trailblazing for you, because that can be pretty tricky. Identifying opportunity, it takes a little bit of imagination, and it does take a lot of time and research, etc. And again, it's at least a small payback to the person bringing the awareness piece to you, to not just rush in and buy these companies. And I did mention, I've worked really, really hard for 25 years, Jason, to kind of have my fitness to a point where I can enter into companies like this with really no reservation. And that in and of itself is a luxury, my friend. It is a luxury. And that's a luxury that a lot of new investors really don't have. And they need to be kind of careful with looking to build up a nice base in the portfolio and really cap that. For example, if you've got a $10,000 portfolio, I don't think you should be looking at SPACs at over $500 of exposure, and that might be a little rich.
Couple hundred, yeah.
Couple hundred, man. It's all right. Give yourself a little fighting chance, but some of these guys are declaring some pretty large positions. I took 200 shares of it, and then that's large enough. But man, some of these guys are putting some killer positions on it. And I mean, my conviction goes only so far, and my conviction might be strong about a company, but it has to be relative to the total overall portfolio. And this is significantly less than 1% of my portfolio. So,
well, and I'll say that I took a bigger position in this one because I took profits from Nikola.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So,
yep.
And I'll disclose, I probably made 2,500 on Nikola, but I had a small position. Yeah. And so I took that 2,500 and I went with a bigger position in this one. So
rolled it.
Yeah. So I really see, I'm still playing with house money. So and I'm not, and I still have a portfolio full of blue chips. I talk about that,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
So that's another reason I can sleep well at night and invest in something like this, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But look, let me talk about, because you're talking about we're just ordinary guys. So look, here's me leading up to that interview with the CEO today. So at work, they were hammering me at work right up till like the 5 minutes until, and here I'm like, dude, are they gonna stop? Because he's about to call me on Skype, and I'm like, and I was like, all right, I just told work, I said, look, I'm going to lunch. So listen, this is I'm just a part-time YouTuber, part-time investor, and that's the true story of like how it goes. For me to do something like that, I gotta kind of work it in during my work hours, because those guys, they want to do it like Trevor wanted to do it at like 11. Trevor Milton, Nicola, he wanted to do it at 11. That's in the middle of my work day. This guy wanted to do it at 1 o'clock. So, I mean, I'm working. And so, and then, but with Trevor, I had some, it wasn't as bad because those guys are on West Coast time. Well, at 1 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock West Coast. They're there at work and they're getting ramped up, and they were hitting me up on Slack and going crazy. So, and there was a technical issue at work going on right before this interview. So.
From my perspective, Jason, and I know it's just one perspective, kudos for making that happen. If I was a new investor and I was watching and listening to what you're saying about, the house money perspective, I think that's smart, man. I roll with the same perspective. Same idea, just different profit set off of Boeing, right? So same idea. Got a little bit here to kind of leverage up a little bit and take a new position that I believe in. And, we'll see. Today we got a little lucky, a little bit squeeze on the name for sure. But, I'd like to see it settle out. I'd rather see a good company with good prospect like that incur a little bit of slow growth. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to have one of these jump days like Nikola. But Nikola was the highest shorted stock today on Robinhood. You saw that, right? So everybody's selling. I didn't like the company, Jay. That's just me. I didn't like it from the beginning. I saw it. Okay, and then I looked at it from a different lens. So if I come into it and I'm like, okay, I don't like a company, then I'll go into it and I'll try to find something I really, really like. And for me, at the end of the day, it seemed like they were biting off a lot more than they could chew. I think the technology will probably turn out a lot of innovation over the next, 10, 20, 30, 40 years going forward, because this is the direction that the world needs to go in. Absolutely.
Right.
But when you've got stuff that are just hypothetical and they're not real, it's a hard time differentiating between what they can make reality and what really is just, something that they're proposing that's going to take a long time to build out, and I'm talking about the infrastructure,
Yeah, there was definitely much more risk in Nikola. I will definitely say that.
Well,
it was harder, and that's why I didn't get a big position either. Even though other people, when it ran up, they were telling me how many shares they had, and I was like, man, I wish I could have. But I only owned 55 shares,
Yeah.
So
that's a good. That's a respect. And you're a winner. So if you walk and you're a winner, then good on you. You live to fight another day. You don't ever apologize for wins. That's just the power of the stock market. I'm not surprised by that kind of stuff anymore. It's all about the plan. If it went down just the same, I don't think that would have surprised me either. So it's just kind of my numb approach to the stock market. But you gotta let bygones be bygones, and you gotta let poor investment decisions be water under the bridge, and keep living to fight that other day. You really do. It's important. You got to keep persevering in the investing world. So, were you happy with the interview? Were you happy with the way it went down?
Oh yeah, I mean, you're gonna see it. It's this guy was very cordial and very. It's like talking to my neighbor, and seriously. And he was like, he wanted to do. He says, like, hey, let's hang out, let's do it again. So he's following up, and he even extended the invite to possibly go to Austin to the headquarters. I was like, wow, okay,
yeah,
I'll do whatever. I'm down. Yeah.
Well, hey, would those opportunities have come to a head if you didn't come out with a channel? I mean,
right.
You haven't been doing this channel that long, Jason, and neither have I. I've got a loyal core group, as you do as well, but you really haven't been doing this that long. But I think the scary prospects for a lot of these folks that are channel creators, where's it going to be in 5 years? Where's it going to be in 10 years? I mean, we're all young,
Right. Yeah. I mean, we could all be full time. We could be, you never know.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Well, not you. You got to get your retirement. I know you,
I
but
do. I do. I got to get the
yeah,
retirement, but I do see the channel being part of my life for the rest of my life. And there's no doubt I can say that with 100% confidence. And I've gone through swoons of motivation of the channel for sure, but I've never really felt this level of motivation. I've never been more proud to roll out content. And I think a lot of that comes when that validation comes full circle back to me from people that are like, man, you guys are killing it. You're doing great. Keep it up. And that's nice. It's nice to hear. Nice to hear that those efforts are appreciated for sure. And
yeah.
not to sound condescending for you, Jason, but I'll say thanks. I appreciate the efforts from you as well, man, for sure. It's been, I mean, you're a featured channel of mine, so it's nice. It's nice to see the growth. I sit back because I remember your first video, man.
That was terrible.
You got to do me a favor. You got to keep that content on there, man. Don't ever
every year when I do like a recap of the year, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna put it on just to. And people are telling me already now. Not even a very small, under 10,000 subs. They're like, remember where you came from. I can never not remember where I came from. I'm like, small dude, just a regular humble dude. So it's all good. I'm gonna jump off. But hey, look, I do want to see a highly on video on your channel. Come on, Ryan. Come on, man.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun. I might put it out based on the work that I put in on the stock for sure.
Do it, man.
I think it'd be worth it. Because I think people would benefit to hear my perspective on the name for sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Jay. And I'll look forward to the interview. Good timing. Thanks for coming on tonight. Really good.
I appreciate it. I'll jump off and let you close it out.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Later. Awesome, man. Thank you to Jason, with J Mac, for coming on tonight. It's always awesome. Just to close out, certainly want to invite everyone to keep the discussion going on the Passive Income Educator channel. I'm sure Matt and Kyle have already engaged. It'll take me a few minutes to kick over there, and I will be. I love this topic, and it keeps the energy moving. And I think for anybody that's consuming the content and really getting involved in the community, I think you'll be more the wiser for it. So again, congratulations as we build this message. You're all active participants in this message, and your success is our success. There's no doubt about that, guys. Somebody told me today at work, they said, isn't investing like gambling? And the sheer fact of the matter is that I don't gamble anymore because of what I understand about investing. The ability to, through research, control what it is that you determine adequate with your money. You have the ability to scale your level of risk 100%. You're the one in control. With self-directed investing, you are truly in control of your own money. And I think the prospects of that just can't be overstated. And coupled with the opportunities that exist now in the investing arena, it's never been a better time to be an investor. So for you guys that are making their way to the live stream tonight for your first time, welcome. No doubt, buckle your seatbelt. Because it's going to be an interesting ride, and everybody in here in some form or fashion, in some small or large scale, are building wealth for them and their families. There's no doubt in my mind. We'll continue to foster the dialogue in the Independent Investor channel. If you are interested in being a guest on the live stream, I do drop those in the thread before the live stream, so you can test out equipment to come on and be a guest on the Friday live stream. It's an open door policy. All right. I'm just a regular fella, just like Jason came on, said hello. If you want to come on for 5 minutes, or you want to come on for 15 or more, and let us know where you're coming from, what your investing goals are, and what you want to get from the investing opportunity, and what you appreciate in the community, we'll have you on for sure. And we love to run that dynamic open door policy on the program. So with that, guys, I'll sign off. We'll be back next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the Independent Investor Channel live stream. Guys, be well, be safe, and we'll catch you next Friday. Take it easy.